One of the greatest things that I learned this year is that failures are only lessons and losses are only temporary. I know it seems like everybody says that and it's super cliche, but it's really true, especially running a business, and I'll tell you why. Before, I used to get upset and avoid failure. Now I expect it. The more things you try and the more things you strive for, the more you're going to fail. It's just bound to happen. And you have to have a positive outlook when these bad things happen and when you fail. Otherwise, you will go crazy, because when you enter a certain area of life where you're chasing success and you're chasing the best version of yourself in life, failure is what comes with that. And if you don't want that, you should have played it safe. And I always remind myself when I can dial it down to the certain level of thinking where it's just about my jobs and how much I'm profitable on each job. Because I remember the days where I'd panic when I lost money on a job, or when I was doing extra work for no extra pay that I didn't expect that I would have to do as part of this job. And of course, when you're running a business, you have to make sure you're making a profit and that the job is profitable, and if unexpected things come up, you have to portray those to the customer and charge additionally for it. But there comes a point. That's one thing for jobs if there's few add-ons or things take a little longer than expected, but it's a whole nother thing, and you just have to learn to swallow your pride and take the lesson of the failure like a champ. And that comes when you do a, say, $20,000 job for $10,000, and you thought $10,000 was enough, and then you get into it and you realize why it should have been $20,000 and why you ended up getting the damn job in the first place. And there's a few ways you can go about finishing that job once you realize that. One, you can tell the customer it's going to be double what they expected, $10,000 more, and that's probably not going to go well. I don't even consider that an option. Two, you can quit the job if it's going to be more beneficial, I suppose, and you're not worried about the effects of your name after doing that. And you're fine walking off and taking the loss for the labor you put in and risk all sorts of legal action because you didn't fulfill your contract. You can also just hack your way through the rest of the job and, in a sheer panic, hack everything out and do it in a rush, not to a good quality. Or you can take the job as a learning experience and do it the correct way all the way through and admit that the customer got a discounted price in exchange for you learning some valuable lessons. And I have gone through that exact situation multiple times. Now, if you make that same mistake again in the future, there's a problem. But at the end of the day, it's not what happens to you in life, it's how you interpret it.